Just will mention quickly that from the 37th chapter that we started, that was first we learned, even if about Joseph's life, although your background is a very discouraging background, that does not stop you becoming a saint. Joseph's background was so bad. How many wives Joseph's father had? 4. Leah, Rachel, Bilhah and Silpah, and he kept all the 4 of them together, not he changed one after the other, divorcing and taking. And he was also, his very name Jacob means deceiver. He deceived his father, he deceived his elder brother, he deceived his father-in-law. In so many ways his father was such a bad character. His mother also was the same. His mother Rachel, she had stolen idols from her father and cunningly covered it up and told a lie, and finally miserably on the road she died. That was his mother. And his brothers are so bad. And Reuben, the eldest one, he committed sin with his stepmother, and terrible, the family was in a terrible mess. Levi and Simeon, they were terrible murderers. And then other brothers also, when we read about Issachar, and one is like a serpent, one another is like a lion. They were so. In spite of that, that was not a. So your background I don't think anybody's background was so bad like Joseph's family's background, but that did not stop him becoming a saint. Also, we find that where did he work? God kept him to work with very wicked brothers. There, he was able to keep his life. So God sometimes keep in your working place, you may be allowed to work with some very wicked people to test your character, whether you get, do you get hatred against them, or whether you cannot get on well with them or not. So in the house and there at work also, wicked people were there who hated. And now we will, something very, very interesting today we will come to. That last time we started off mentioning about hatred. How many aspects we learned about last week about if you hate someone? 5. And now, just connecting with that, we will learn some more about what. Suppose if you hate someone, what is going to be the result? You can turn off that light. First of all, we'll go to the first one. And first that we learned, we'll now know peace. Isn't it? That we read. Last Wednesday we read from the 4th verse that when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. That actually not only happened that time, all their life they did not have peace. All along their life we find his brothers didn't have peace at all. That we can, as we continue studying, we will learn. So what we learn, if you hate someone, you lose your peace. And that peace, till you are able to love that person, that state will continue. You will not have peace at all. But on the other hand, when you take the other one, if you love those who hate you, as Joseph did to his brothers, what did Joseph do? He instead of hating those brothers who were hating him, but he loved his brothers who hated him. And therefore what he had? He always had peace. When we hate someone, we don't have peace, and when we love the people who are hating you, maybe some people are hating you, if you love them, what you will have? You will have always peace. Somebody may read 41:16. All these verses are from Genesis, that's why we are not mentioned. Then somebody may read 41:16. Can quickly somebody read?
And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
See here, I will tell you in a minute the context. Many years Joseph is in prison. Prison means dungeon. Nowadays the prison means people think, with color television and good bed and central air conditioned room and so comfortable. Some people don't like to leave that prisons. But that was not, it was a dungeon there. Many years, Bible scholars at least from the Bible we read at least 10 years or more he might have been in the prison. Suddenly a message was passed on. The king had a dream. Even the dream was not told to him. And he was not afraid or, confused about it. Immediately he says, God will give an answer of peace. The result will be peace. Why he was able to speak about peace? Because he had peace in him. Why he had peace in him? He had no hatred against his brothers. When you have some hatred in your heart, even some good news is given to you, that will frighten, that will create, take it negatively. He not only in this place, he had always peace. That's why he says, God will give you an answer of peace, even without knowing what was the dream. Although he was in the dungeon, he had peace. Dear child of God, when you love the people who hate you, you have always peace. No matter whatever trouble you go through, you may be in a prison or palace. That does not change. You have always heavenly peace. And the second one, that if you hate as Joseph's brothers did, second one thing, God's goodness taken for evil. Yes. If you have hatred against someone, what we learn, even the good things that God is doing, how will you take it? You will take it as evil. Last week we studied some of them. The verses are already mentioned there. Therefore I don't need to go in detail. Can anybody say some of the good things God did, they took it as evil? Joseph gave freely corn, sack full of corn, and the money was returned. But when they saw the money, they had a heart attack. And they said, why did God do this against us? What did God do against them? Gave the money back. So they took it evil. And another time also the same thing happened. They took it evil. And another time, Joseph invited them all for a meal, all the brothers. And that we read that 43:23. 43:18, yes, that's right.
And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us and fall upon us and take us for bondmen as our asses.
Now see what we find here. Because they had hatred in their hearts, whatever good Joseph was doing, Joseph is a type of what? Jesus. Even the good things that Joseph was doing, they were taking as evil. Now they are invited for a good grand meal into the palace. And when they were coming to the palace, what are they thinking? This man is going to arrest us. And they are going to take us as bondmen, and and this man is going to take our asses also. Why did they think? Because evil was in their heart. So what we learn, dear children of God, when that we hate someone, even the good things God does for us, we cannot take it as good. We will think it's bad. But on the other hand, now we'll turn to Joseph. When we love the people who are hating us, even the things they do against us as evil, God will turn into good. Just the opposite, isn't it? Here, for Joseph's brothers, whatever good things that God has done, they had taken as evil. But in the case of Joseph, who loved the brethren who hated him, whatever things they have done evil against him, they all turned out to be good. Isn't it? Read chapter 50, verse 20. 50, verse 20.
But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive.
See how everything Joseph says, whatever evil you have done. What are the evil they have done? They put him in the pit and they sold him out. It was good that they sold him out because he was able to go to Egypt. That was the place. God raised him, isn't it? Otherwise he would have been all along a shepherd boy. And Potiphar's wife did such a mischievous thing that it was good. From there, next what happened was that he was raised into the palace to the governor or prime minister. So whatever Joseph says, whatever you have done, they hated him so much and they sold him as a slave so that he may die somewhere in Egypt as a slave. Because slave normally will be beaten like an animals, and even the people had the right, the master had the right even to kill. Nobody will complain about murder. If you are killing your own slave, you have the right. That was at stake that time. So they have done all the evil against him. But what did God do? All the evil, God turned into good. Dear child of God, if you are right with God, if you walk with God, if you love your enemies, if you love the people who do evil against you, what will happen to you? All the evil they will try to do against you, they will turn out to be good. Everything will turn out to be good. God will change it. The Mara becoming sweet. There are so many things in the Bible that we find such things. David's life, and even the book of Esther, we read about Mordecai. All over you find the story. If you learn to love the people who hate you, Bible says no evil shall befall you. If you say somebody has done evil against you, and if it affected you, there must be some evil in your life. Bible says no enchantment will affect Jacob or God's people. Suppose if somebody is doing anything evil against you, if it is becoming evil, there must be some evil in your life. Bible says no evil shall befall you. Isn't it? So why? Whatever they have done, it became good for Joseph. Later on, God willing, we may learn in detail how every little thing that enemies had done against to destroy him, God turned out to be to develop his character to promote him. That is why, dear children of God, it is a privilege to love the people who are hating us. Do you really love the people who are hating you? It is easy that we all will love our friends. But God wants that we may love the people who hate us. That's what Jesus didn't say, love your friends. Do you find anywhere in the Bible Jesus mentioning love your friends? Drunkards also love their friends. So there is no problem with that. But love your enemies, Jesus told. What for? So that your heavenly Father may shower the blessings. So count all the people who are hating you and start loving them with all your heart. And ask the Lord, Lord, give me an opportunity to do something good for them. And then God will open a way for that. God will open an opportunity for good. Let us go to the next one. And the third one, that is about if you hate someone, all lifelong tormenting fear will be in your life. You will have all your life fear, not ordinary fear, tormenting fear. When I am telling about hatred, hatred also stands for bitterness and resentment and prejudices and keeping offense in the heart and and hurt feeling in your heart. All these things are parts of hatred. If you keep hatred in your heart, you will have lifelong tormenting fear, not ordinary fear. Unnecessarily you will be afraid. Read one by one that 40-35.
And it came to pass, as they were emptied as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid.
They were afraid. And that was, we know that God's blessing, it was only a blessing of God, of Joseph, but they were afraid. And next, 43:18.
And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house.
We already read that verse. Yes. Again we read about there. And verse 23.
And he said, peace be to you, fear not.
Joseph had to say that, don't be afraid. And chapter 50, verse 19. This chapter 50, verse 19 is about 85 or 90 years after this incident. Still they have fear.
And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for I am in the place of God.
Am I in the place of God? Yes. So here Joseph had to tell, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid, all the time fear. If you hate someone in your heart, you may not tell others, but you will have always unnecessary fears. In fact, there are no necessary fears anyway. Only the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. That fear is joyful, peaceful, gracious peace. All other fears are unnecessary fears. And this we read in the last verse we read almost after 90 years, 90 years they had fear. Are there anybody here? Fear of the future, fear of death, fear of sickness, fear of things. One reason could be, I don't say always the reason, one reason could be you may be hating somebody in your heart. And on the other hand, look at Joseph. He had lifelong he had grace in his life. There was absolutely no fear, but full of grace. Even in the most difficult situations he found, he was able to have grace. 39:4. This was the time after he was put into the pit and he was sold as a slave and he came to Egypt and he became slave. Look at the grace that he had in his life.
And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house.
See, here, he had such a grace in his life. Of course, there are faith and various other things we can read about it. So when we have, don't have hatred, or rather we love the people who hate us. That's what Joseph did. In so many other places we read about forgiving love of Joseph. I know that you all had earlier, at least some studies on Joseph. Forgiving love is a wonderful characteristic that we find about Joseph. Such people only can become great in the sight of God. And now we'll go to the fourth one. Because if you hate, as Joseph's brothers did, you can love the fellowship of saints. You cannot enjoy coming to, even if you come to meeting, you cannot enjoy the meeting. You just cannot meet each other. And we find, read that verse 37 verse 18 and 19.
And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh.
Here we find Joseph was far away. Joseph was coming because the father had sent him to inquire their welfare. He was coming with a very good intention, but they just couldn't take it. Even when they're so far away, they decide how to get rid of him. So when you have hatred, you don't love your brothers and sisters to see each other, to greet each other, you just cannot. You just can't bear that, to have fellowship. Even coming to church also you cannot enjoy. Either you may stop coming to church, even after coming to church you won't feel like meeting others. Fellowship with the saints, when fellowship with God is sweet, fellowship with the saints or God's people also becomes sweet. Joseph's brothers couldn't love, because hated, they didn't love the company of saints. But look at Joseph. when you love the people who hate you, you want to be close to those who hate you with agape love. Even the very people they are hating, you know that they are hating you. Still you want to be close to them. Even knowing that they are hating you, you want to draw closer to them. Read 45:4.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph your brother.
That's enough. See here, he was pleading. It was not that Joseph's brothers were pleading. Joseph was pleading, come, why don't you come close to me? Why you are standing far away? So Joseph wants to be close to the people who are hating. Dear child of God, when you really love somebody whom they are hating, you don't say, no, I will keep a distance from that person. You don't. If I come close to that person, there will be trouble. That person is always creating problem for me in my workplace. So I will keep away from that person. No. When you love with agape love, you want to be closer to that person. You want to minister God's love and grace into that person. Do you have somebody who is hating you and you are trying to keep away from that person? That means you are not loving that person. That person may be hating you. That person would like to be far away from you. Will try to keep away from you. But you should not be in that state. You want to go closer. But when you go closer, that person feels irritable and angry and upset and trying to move out. He says, come closer to me. Dear child of God, is there anybody, even in the church, you want to keep away from that person? You don't want to be close to that person. There was a time you were close, now you keep away. I tell you got hatred against that person. When you really love that person, you don't keep away. There is no, some people say keep a safe distance. Then a Bamba they write, keep a safe distance. But this is a very unsafe distance. We need to be close to those people. They may not like us. They may try to avoid you. They may try not to speak to you. But you should, with a divine love, forgiving love, you should go. Even if that person doesn't shake hand with you, you go and shake hand with that person. Even if that person doesn't greet you, even 1,000 times after you greet, that person doesn't greet you. Till that person goes to the grave, you keep greeting. And that will help that soul. But if we don't do that, I have done so many times, that person is not doing, we don't have agape love. This is what Joseph did. He wants to be closer to them. He knew these are the brothers who hated me, put in the pit and tried to kill me and took my clothes out of me and sold me out. He knew all those things. But still he has come close to me. Dear child of God, examine and see your heart. Is there in your heart a hatred against somebody? In your heart? A bitterness against somebody? Then you try to avoid that person. Even if that person comes close to you, you feel something irritable. That shouldn't be. But Joseph wants to be close. And then the fifth one about hating. Last week we studied, you become a burden and a liability for others. What did we learn last time? Joseph had to take care of all of them. Joseph told, read chapter 50 verse 21.
Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them.
And I will take care of you and your children. Because they didn't have anything, they don't have. Now they have come to Egypt, they don't have a house to stay. They don't have any job. They don't have any food. And they don't have any refuge. That time Joseph says, and the whole land was famished. They came as bankrupt, so to say. Joseph says, I will take care of you. So if we hate, as Joseph's brothers hated, they became a burden to Joseph. And even the children had to be looked after, because they had no sustenance. God doesn't want us to become a burden for others. But if we keep hatred in us, we will become a burden for others. But in the case of Joseph, he was a blessing. Same verse that we read. You become a blessing even to those who hate you. Same verse. Joseph told, don't worry. I will take care of you. I will take care of your children. And he kindly spoke to them. And we read in the Bible, Joseph gave the very best of land for them. Provided jobs. Some of them were made supervisors among the shepherds. So he became a blessing to the people who hated. That should be our desire. We may be a blessing to our friends, our relatives, good people. But are you a blessing to the people who hate you? Are you a blessing to the people? Are you a blessing to your enemies? That is what Joseph became. If you love them with a agape love, we become a blessing to them. And we should pray, Lord, make me a blessing to them. Actually, the whole world is full of hatred, you know. This whole world is full of hatred. So in this hateful, bitter world, God needs Josephs who can become a blessing for others. And then the sixth one. Lifelong guilt and condemnation remained in the brothers. All their life, they felt guilty and they were condemned in their heart. When we keep hatred in our hearts also, the guilty feeling never will go from us. All their life they had guilty feeling in them. Some of us are keeping guilty feeling in us without clearing them. When guilty feeling comes, it can condemn us also. I know sometimes the devil will try to condemn us. I don't say always condemnation comes because we hate others. Please don't take that way. Sometimes it may be because when we condemn others in our heart, the same thing, condemnation will come back to us. 42:21.
And they said one to another, we are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
So now they say, verily we are guilty. This after how many years? After about 30 years, after they have committed that, selling him, etc. Verily we are guilty, and that is why we are in distress. Why should we continue to be guilty and condemned in our heart? By hating. What good we are getting by hating someone? All these wrong things happen in our life. And look at Joseph, who loved those who hated. He had lifelong, his heart, he was so cheerful. You know, the most difficult place to be cheerful was in the dungeon, in the prison. In the prison also he was so cheerful. Read 6 and 7, chapter 4, 40.
Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today?
So, Joseph was asking, why your faces are so sad today? They had just recently come to the prison. And Joseph has perhaps the senior most prisoner in that cell. Now Joseph is asking, why your faces are so sad? That means, how was Joseph's face then? Yes, unless it was happy, otherwise he would tell, why your face is sad like my face also? Oh, no, it was not so. Why are you sad? That means he was glad there. Wherever we are, when God's love fills our heart, dear children of God, it is not a place that makes us sad or glad. It is a person, not a place. There, in the prison, Joseph, he was not given any, during those days, it is not 5 years prison and after 2 years parole. Not that way. Once you are put in the dungeon, that's it. Whether you live or die, that's the place. So in that state is Joseph. So, in fact, he was in a hopeless state. There, he was a cheerful man. Because he had no guilty feeling in him. He loved his enemies. He had no hatred for his brothers who put him in the pit. He had no hatred against Potiphar's wife. He had no hatred against Potiphar. You all know the story of what happened. That is why he was able to be cheerful. When our life is not right with God, always we will have a gloomy look. Even if sun is shining with all its brightness and everything is comfortable, we will have, how are you? Not too bad. That is what often the language people say. But when I don't mean to say you say that, but mostly people say that. Here, our cheerfulness, happiness does not depend upon how much clothes and food and money we have in bank. Our rightness with God. If we are not right with God, if there is hatred and resentment and prejudice and bitterness and so many things are in our heart, we can never be happy. Even whatever little happiness we may say, some people may be able to put up a smiling face, but the heart will be full of sadness. But Joseph was so cheerful, and he was able to help to cheer up at least one of the prisoners there. And the next we find 7. If we hate someone, lifelong, either spiritually or otherwise, you will have poverty or famine. Mostly I would say, spiritually, we will be poor. Always we will be famine stricken. There is poverty in spiritual life. Genesis 43, 1 and 2.
And the famine was sore in the land, and it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food.
We find in some other places also money failed. Several times it says money failed. And they were really, where they had famine, they had severe famine in the land of Canaan. So, hatred brings spiritual poverty. Always, some people are very dry. Always they are dry spiritually. One reason could be there is some hatred in our heart against some people. But look at Joseph. He's always spiritually, he had riches and success. That's the important thing. Lifelong spiritual riches or success. 39, 2 to 5.
And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man.
Prosperous man means successful man. Yes.
And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he put into his hand.
See, there, where God placed him, he was only a slave there. But Bible says he was a prosperous man. He was a successful man. And verse 23, 39, 23.
The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper.
Again says that, prosper. That word is successful. Now the question is whether your life is going to be successful or a failure will all depend whether we have the grace to love our enemies or not. If we don't have grace to love our enemies, I want to tell you, your life is bound to be a failure. It's already a failure. But love your enemies, your life will become successful. How strange. He was put in a prison. Bible says he was successful there, prosperous there. He was put as a slave there in Potiphar's house. Bible says he was successful there. So successful does not mean that you have plenty of money and you will live in a palace and you have so many other comforts in the world. Success means God is with us in all what you do. What is success? What is success? One of the young people say. What is meant by success? Jason? Jacob? Success, anyway, I have to tell Manby again. Success means whatever work you do, God is blessing. God is with you whatever work you do. Wherever you are, that does not matter. Success means God is with you in all what you do. About Abraham, Abimelech's testimony was that God is with you in all what you do. Failure means then, what is then failure? Whatever you do, God is not blessing. God is not helping. That is failure. It is not that you have got millions of dollars in bank and you got some degrees and great position. Life will be a failure if God is not with you in all what you do. What we find, whatever Joseph did, God was with him. Whether he was in the prison or in the palace. Can anybody say now what is meant by success, Kathy? That's right. Whatever we are doing when God is with us, that is success. Whatever you do, if God is not there, that is, you are bound to be a failure. And so, we find Joseph's life was always a success. When he was a slave, his life was a success. When he was in the prison, his life was a success. And when he was in the palace, his life was a success. He doesn't say it in the palace only his life was success, other places failure, no. And finally, when you keep hatred, you will imagine that even the saintliest person is hating you and doing evil against you. When you hate someone, you think everybody is hating you. When you hate someone, even the best people you think they are hating you. Even the saintliest people think they are hating. I know about a particular sister in an assembly I worked. First she told me, I was first newly transferred. It was in another country. She came and told, brother, so and so is hating me. And first I thought it must be true. And then she started saying, so and so is hating me, that person is hating me, this person is hating me, and this person, that person is looking at me, it's because that person is hating me. Then I knew it's the other way around. She has hatred against almost the whole assembly. So she thinks everybody is hating her. Do you find everybody is hating you? Do you think everybody is against you? It must be the other way around. We read about Cain. He killed his brother Abel. Afterwards, what does he say? Now everybody is trying to kill me. Read that. Genesis chapter. Is it chapter 4? Yes. Verse 14.
Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
See, what does he say? Anyone who will find me is going to kill me. If 10 people are going to find me, what they are going to do? All that, he just says some people are going to kill me. What does he say? Everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Because he killed. Actually, that time only all what he had was his own brothers and sisters were only living that time. He says, everybody is going to kill me. Do you find everybody is doing evil against you? Do you find everybody is upset against you? Do you think everybody is trying to find fault with you? The reason could be the other way around. What we have in our heart, that we see in others as if we have. With the same way we think. If we have hatred in our heart, what we sow that we reap. We think everybody is hating you. But when we love the people who are hating us, the very hatred with which they are doing anything against us, God will turn into good. So even the worst person doing evil with hatred, God will make it. The next about Joseph, what we read? That's right. We find even the worst person doing evil with hatred, God will make it for good. That's what it happened for Joseph. Everything that others had done, Potiphar's wife had done that. Suppose if Potiphar's wife Potiphar had not put him in the prison, all his life he would have remained as a slave there, isn't it? So what she had done was good. By putting him into the prison, God trained him to be raised as the prime minister. If Potiphar's wife had not done that evil against him, still he would have been there all his life as a slave there. So, what we learn, if we love our enemies, that 8, you always have peace, even things appearing evil turn out to be good, you will have lifelong grace, you want to be close to those who hate you with agape love, you become a blessing even to those who hate you, and you will have lifelong cheerfulness, you have lifelong spiritual riches or success. Even the worst person doing evil with hatred, God will make it good. But if you hate someone, what will happen? You always, it's the other way around, already I read it. Which one did I read? Lifelong spiritual poverty or... Anyway, you will have peace of mind and you will have grace and you will be close to God and your life will become successful and you will be cheerful and we find all things work together for good to them that love God. Now before I go to the next point about this study, I ask you, just close your eyes. I plead with you, make a decision. All my life I am going to love my enemies. Those who are hating me, I want to love them. I want to do good to them. I want to be close to them. Although they may try to run away from me, I want to close to them with a divine agape love, redemptive love. If you hate somebody, I tell you, your life is going to be a failure. Don't hate. Love those people who are hating you. Don't think anybody is your enemy. Devil is the only enemy against you. Make today that decision. Lord, please fill my heart with agape love. When you hate someone, you will speak evil of that person, you will find fault with that person, you will go around everywhere in the world and gossip against that person, such and such wrong, that this and that, and there are so many other results. Shall we stand for a minute? Father, we pray, Lord, let these words, let it not become a judgment on the day of judgment. Let it not be told either to me or anyone that day, Lord, I spoke to you that you love your enemies. Why did you keep hatred against so and so? Lord, let these words not become on the day of judgment as a word of punishment, but as a word of blessing, oh Father. Make us like Joseph, oh God. Help us to love those who are putting us down and hating us and trying to destroy us. Help us to do good for them, oh God, so that always we will have peace of mind and we will have no fear about the future, no tormenting fear, no condemnation, no guilty feeling, and our life may never become a burden but a blessing. Oh God, filled with agape love, forgiving love. Lord, we cannot afford to keep hatred against anyone, oh God. Give us love. Our hearts particularly, Lord, fill our hearts with love for the people who hate us with perfect hatred. Let us never open our mouth to speak anything evil against them, but only and always good. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. You may please be seated. Next to that, what we learn about is that Joseph had we will turn back to Genesis 34. What we find in the verse 4, from the second verse we read, that Joseph brought unto his father evil report. What for? So that father was able to correct the children. As earlier we read about yesterday and last Wednesday we learned from John chapter 7 verse 7.